listener production.
Hey, Bension Siebert here for The Briefing. Everybody seems to be talking about Raygun. That is Dr Rachael Gunn, Australia's women's Olympic breaker. Some people think she's a national treasure on the international stage. Others think she's embarrassed Australia and ruined the sport's chances of being included in any future Olympics. There's even a petition online questioning the integrity of the process that led to her selection to represent Australia, which at the time of recording has over 17,000 signatures. We need to say some of those claims in that petition are dubious and unverifiable at this time. But at the centre of all of this is a small and passionate community of breakers across the country watching this controversy unfold over what was supposed to be the big launch for breaking as a global sport. So how are they feeling right now? And what do they want the rest of Australia to know in this moment? Michael Fox, that is Australian All-Star and breaking champion B-boy Flyin' Foxy, is a breaker based in Melbourne, and he also teaches kids at Melbourne Breakdance. Michael, thanks so much for joining us. How are you and others in the breaking community feeling right now?
Exhausted. We're all a bit emotionally exhausted from all the cyberbullying for our friend, which is we're all jumping at it to defend her. Because a lot of it's unfounded and just mean. So we're all just, looking out for our friend. But aside from that, breaking's in the limelight, which is great. We just wish it was under better circumstances. But breaking was in the Olympics. That's awesome.
A lot of people have been having some potentially ill-informed opinions online about what went on at the Olympics and what went on beforehand. What do you and other breakers want Australians who don't really know anything about breaking to know right now?
So much. All right, let's start with the judging. All right, so what I want people to know is that even though she scored no votes, if you actually go onto the Olympic website and see how the scores are broken down for the individual categories, they were actually incredibly close, to the point where it was like a 2% difference in different categories or even the overall score. So the fact that people are like, she's not good enough to be there, it's actually like, well, she is good enough to be there. And the scores were much closer than people think. That would be the one thing that I would want to point out for everybody.
As a professional breaker, you watched Raygun's performance. What did you think of it?
My opinion is very different to others. I got more upset about the execution of the moves rather than the choice of moves, which is what everybody else was annoyed about. I was seeing things like she was trying to hit an elbow stand and she didn't quite hit it and she fell over. And I'm like, come on, man, you're better than that. It must be like the tension of being there on the day. That's what I was upset about. But the rest of it, I'm like, yeah, they're all legitimate moves. She focused primarily on, you can tell from how she performed, she focused more on the originality side of things than the difficulty side of things. And that's what everybody else is upset about. They're like, what are you doing? This doesn't look like breaking. It's like the point is to go out there and be yourself and bring something new to the table. At the highest level, you got to bring something new. And that's what people didn't understand because they want to see windmills, head spins, backflips, right? At that level, we saw from the men's category, the guys who were doing just those windmills, head spins, backflip also scored incredibly low, like 1 vote, 2 votes, 4 votes. Out of the 108 votes that they could have gotten across their round robin. And one of them was this guy, Hero 10. And Hero 10's last turn in the round robin, he did one of the best power sets I've seen in the world. He did these crazy head spins and windmills and all this kind of stuff. The whole crowd was on their feet screaming and cheering. And then the results came out and he got 0. He got no votes for it. And then the crowd started booing. So it's which way do you want to go kind of thing. You can go and train all the really hard moves or you can go and train all the original moves. And they did what their style catered to. But the thing is, with this level of competition, you have to be able to do everything.
One of the things that people have been saying is that this is really subjective. But it sounds like there are quite a few objective markers for breaking. Do you think that the idea that breaking is too subjective to be judged in a competition like the Olympics?
That's a really good question, and it's a valid one too. I struggle with this one quite a lot. I think that there are certain aspects of it that are very cut and dry, like your execution and whether you're doing it on beat or to the music, whether you're repeating. So we just covered originality, technique, foundation, and then your vocabulary. The thing that's the most subjective is the originality part of things. Now, from a spectator's point of view, you look at it and be like, was that person different from the other person? From the judge's point of view, they have to be able to apply their however many decades of experience they've had competing competitions, judging at competitions, and also studying breaking outside of competitions to be like, have I seen those moves before? And for myself, I've been breaking for 25 years and I've been teaching for 20 years. So I look up on there and I'm like, I can recognize X amount of those moves or this percentage. And so when I was watching a lot of it, I'm like, this is stuff I've seen before. It's very rare once you get to the highest level of competition to see something new. And that's why it's really hard to score originality. And that's why there's a huge difference between the judges' opinions on originality and the spectators' opinions.
We know that breaking won't be at the Olympics in LA. Do you want it? I guess that's the answer to the question. You want this to be an Olympic sport going forward, for sure.
We all want it in there. Who doesn't want to see it there again? This is great. It's all over the news. It's all anyone is talking about. And Aussies that are for or against Raygun's performance are like, we want to be able to see it again so we can either A, see her do better again, or B, see someone else do better. Or if in some people's cases, C, they want to see themselves up there doing better. You know, we all want to see it again.
I should ask about the petition that's being circulated. What's your perspective on that?
It's total BS. There's just so many different parts of it that I'm like, it's not found in fact, it's made up. And then the parts that could sound true are loosely based in it. So it's kind of like, you know how when you hear people say like a good lie is based in fact? So it's like, oh yeah, you know, Raygun and Sam, they had their own staff on the judging panel. Like, no, there were no Australians on the judging panel. They were all internationals. And the reason why they got international people from all over the world is because they were trying to avoid biasness in the judging panel. It's all BS.
You teach breaking to kids. What do you think that the discourse this week does for kids coming up in the sport?
It's very interesting to see the students' opinions versus the non-students' opinions. All the students are very excited to see breaking in the Olympics. They're so excited to see something they are passionate at on the big stage. It gives them a goal. And regardless of how people performed, all they are thinking about now is, I can do that. I can go to the Olympics for the thing I love to do. And that to me is the biggest thing, because I'm all about teaching the next generation and bringing them up and trying to get them involved in the community. That's a huge part of my life. And then I've got the spectators, which are, you know, people who are not part of the community, but also like parents of the students who saw it and have mixed feelings about the whole thing. They're like, yeah, we saw the breaking and they thought it was amazing. Or like, oh my God, did you see this? And whatever their opinion is, in the long run, it's going to have an impact on people who are interested in it. And that's what I think they need to be really careful about, because you're affecting people who are going to be investing a lot of time and effort into something. And if you decide to like spread this BS conspiracy theory about the petition, that could essentially push it out of the Olympics, right? Not necessarily like, oh, hey, you know, we stopped this one person. It's like, no, you're gatekeeping everyone now, and you've actually set it back. Like people like that do more damage to our community. Outsiders do more damage to our community like that than we do to ourselves. And that's what I think is the worst.
Finally, what do you love about breaking? Give us the pitch.
I love the freedom. I especially love the challenge. I'm very much an introverted person, and it really does give me an excuse to go out and share my passion with other people. I absolutely love sharing my passion with other people. The amount of joy that it brings me to be able to push my mental capacity, my physical capacity, my emotional capacity to its absolute limit, like the Olympian level, there's no other feeling. And people who don't try are missing out.
Well, Michael, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all. And to anyone else listening at home, help us get breaking in the Olympics, get it back into the Brisbane Olympics in 2032, try and get it back into the LA Olympics, all of that. We want to see it.
Michael Fox, that is B-Boy Flying Foxy there. That's it for this episode of The Briefing. We'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow with another episode. I'm Bension Siebert. Catch you soon.